Om Shanti Shanti Shiva Shivaya Shiva Shivaya Acha Shambho Shankara So all the Upanishads and the great gurus have advised about the qualities one should have before listening, writing, and learning the Vedanta Upanishads. We described certain small points. From our past studies, a few things. The indication is that this is not a casual reading for time pass or just for the sake of entertainment. Is what one should understand. Because these Vedantas and Upanishads are revealing the true nature of the human being. What should be the truth? What is the truth of a human? And those areas which are beyond our thinking power. The thinking power here, what at least I mean, is that which is materialistically associated with us. Materialistically associated in the sense Bhautika Samparka, Bhautika Bhutas, much more clearer. Bhautika is Bhutas, in the sense that whatever our Indriyas can experience, they are all Bhautika. That which is seen by your eyes, that which can be listened by your ears, smell, taste, sparsha, touch, etc. So they are all the Bhautika. Those experiences, in any case, you will experience through your physical existence. But those physical existence are meant for, is it not necessary? Maybe one question is. It is necessary because your Sharira, your Mana itself is a Bhuta. So for the purpose of executing the karmas or entertaining your, let me call it as entertaining, having come to this stage of the world, one has to entertain, one has to act. For the purpose of those execution of karmas or activities of the Sharira and Mana, this physical seeing, physical listening, physical experiences through the Indriyas are necessary. And Mana is also necessary. Mind is the one which goes always behind the Indriyas. Mind by itself is nothing. Mind by itself is an assimilation of the thoughts and the activities or the emotions is what is called the mind, and this mind will function only by the help of the informations received by the indriyas. They are all bhautika. See, when these informations are not available to the mind, then the mind looks for where to get the informations and how should I function. In a human body, that mind is there. I mean, if the sharira is not there, mind is not required. It's only for the sharira to maintain. Sharira, maintenance of sharira means execution of karmas. That's all, nothing other than that. That's the purpose of the sharira. Because with the bhutas, experiencing the bhutas in the world, physical world, only a bhuta can experience the bhutas. No? That which is an abstract cannot experience a bhuta. You know? If the wind blows on this glass, the wind cannot experience the glass, but the wind will experience the temperature that is there in the glass. You know, the wind, the air, at least for some moments, will get heated up while passing through a hot metal. Then it becomes again its own nature. So a small change can happen when it is passing through the bhutas, but that means it is not the physical existence of the glass is not felt. The temperature of the glass is felt. That's called the. Again, we have learned in the function of the indriyas when we said about the panchendriyas. Shabda, sparsha, rasa, rupa, gandha is the sukshma bhava of the bhutas. Sukshma bhava of the bhutas. So this sukshma bhava, see how relative it is, very necessary to understand. That's why I said it's a study. It's not a casual listening. So if my eyes can see the glass, eyes cannot see the temperature. But the breeze cannot see the glass, but the breeze can experience the temperature. You see, you got my point. Sukshmata only can understand the sukshmata. Sthulata only can understand the sthulata. Is it right? So this should convince you that even though my eyes are seeing the glass, I am unable to recognize, or I am unable to understand, I am unable to recognize, unable to realize what is inside the glass. I can only see the shell of that, what it contains. Now, let us think, which is important? Is the glass important, or is that which is containing is important? What is important? That which it is containing. Is it important? Is it not? Because how we have classified it? See, this is why I said it's a study. We have to understand this. Then we will understand the big tattva immediately. If I understand the contents of the glass, then we know the glass, the external glass or external the cover is only meant for containing that what is content, that which is the content, and the content is important because the content is the one which can be used. You can drink the water, you can drink the milk. The content is the one which can be used. The content is the one which can be transformed. The content is the one which can be removed. The content is the one which can be perceived. The content is more important. Even the external glass is not there. If the content can be perceived through some way or other, the external glass is not required. But the external bhuta is required, has been created in order to, particularly a form and shape has been created, let me call it as a form and shape now. The form and shape has been created in order to contain the contents for some time, till that use of the content or the utility of the content is exhausted. So the use of the container is useful only till the time the content has been used. After that, nobody bothers what happened to the container. If the content is not there, nobody bothers what happened to the container. Is it not? Container may be of any shape and form. The content should be that. Yeah? Whether you drink water or milk in the glass, or whether you drink it in a big jar like this, or you drink it in a leaf, or even sometimes when the leaf is not there, we all drink water like this. Even in your hand also you drink. The container is not important, that what is content is important. Is it clear? This is the basic principle of Vedanta. Why we should have, what did I say? What is the importance of the inner self of us is that important, which is what I am talking about. So what happens? The mind, which is abstract, which doesn't have a shape and form, can definitely feel the Sukshma Bhava of the Bhutas. But since the Mana is not trying to understand, if it doesn't want to understand the Sukshma Bhava of the externalities, or Sukshma Bhava of the object, Sukshma Bhava of the Bhuta, if the Mana is not wanting to understand, what will happen? It will understand it, since it doesn't have this instrument doesn't have a particular aptitude or particular capability in order to directly experience the object. Suppose you keep an object, closing the eyes, keep an object in front of you, the mind cannot perceive it. It's not possible. Unless you open your eyes and see that, then only you can see the form and shape of that object. So the mind uses the indriyas in order to perceive the experience of the object. Okay. Ultimately what happens, if the mind doesn't have the basic characteristics of the analytical characteristic, like Mimamsa has explained or the Vedanta has explained, if this doesn't have the quality, what will happen? It will be just like the wind blowing through a hot metal which has got heat for some time, and after traveling a little while, the wind loses that heat again, it goes to its own form. Has not made any difference to anything in this world by blowing the air through the hot metal. No. For some time it had a change, and then it again gone back to its own reality or its own originality. How it has been benefited? Neither the wind has benefited by blowing through the hot metal, nor the hot metal has benefited, nor anybody else in the periphery has benefited out of it. No, it is not. The feelings have not been affected. So it was not for a purpose that it has been done. It just happened. So the mind seeing the things without any purpose, now you can relate with it. Casually seeing, we call it. What happened? Wind blown through the hot metal, it got heated up for some time. Again it became cold. It did not make any change to the characteristics of the wind permanently. Same way, if the mind doesn't have the analytical capacity and just seeing through the eye, we call it as casual seeing. Casually just got. Do you remember details? No, I don't know. Something like that. This is what witnessing of the bhutas, what we do through the indriyas. Now having seen that, now we said Another word in Vedanta they have used, Pashyanti, is what? Seeing. Now, another word has been used. Darshanam has been used, which is darshanam is known as focusing. That is, not only by seeing, focus on that, is it? The focus has got a great meaning in Vedanta. Not only in Vedanta, in our normal life also. Why are many people think we are learning Vedanta, we are learning Upanishad, and we are listening to Vedanta only for the purpose of those who doesn't have anything to do with this world, only to understand the Brahman or Ishvara or God, or which is existence, which is not seen, which is not experienced, and which in their language, which is of no use for any human being who is living normally for their routine life. It is not meant for that. Is the general feeling of it. Vedanta is meant for people who have got enough time instead of like me, who want to spend little time on spending like that. Is what is the purpose of Vedanta. So don't listen to all those things. You get into your material life of casual seeing and just experiencing the bhutas depending upon your choice is what they say. That means do whatever you want. These are all not meant for you. No, it is not like that. Vedanta is meant for, what is it otherwise? Vedanta is meant for executing your life and your living through the bhutas, what you are supposed to experience, how you are supposed to experience, how to execute your karmas, what are your karmas, how to execute your kartavya, and what are your kartavyas. These identifications plus and executing of them, Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Jnana Shakti. These are involved in the Vedantic studies. Unless I have Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti and Jnana Shakti, I cannot even function as a Bhautika materialist, can you? If you don't have all these three, this has to be necessary. This teaching you these three is the purpose of Vedanta studies. That is why we always said, or Maharishi Vaishambhayana has said that, I always repeat this, only a brahmachari is eligible to lead the right way of living in this world, in this universe. Why? Because he is the person who has understood how to live. Before he starts his living, he has learned how to live, then doing it. He has learned something, he has learned an art, he has learned a trade, then he starts functioning. Not as an amateur, you just jump into and then. A swimmer has to learn swimming, then swim, then he will not sink. He just jumps into water at one point of time to swim across the ocean, swim across the river, he will sink and die. No doubt about it. He has to be trained. A training is necessary. This training is what Vedanta gives us in order to. The advanced Vedanta is different. At least the basic Vedanta, there is nothing called, please don't refer this anywhere. There is nothing called basic or advanced in Vedanta. Vedanta is Vedanta, that's all. I am just classifying. At least informations of these are required. To be leading as a brahmachari, you require certain informations and studies through which you will be able to do the living in the right sense with its justified with justification. Now, one should know what should I experience in life, before we starting living. Well, everybody doesn't have that choice and chance. Why? Because one has to live. After being born, whether one is trained or not, one has to live. That is one point. Fine. That's why we said the karmas are, there is again, I am going back. That's why karmas are very important. is related with the karma. If I have got a good karma in the previous life, I will be associated with that karma phalas and will get a guru or will get a guide or will get a indication in my mind, because my thoughts will be towards those only, that what I have experienced. This we understand? That whatever I have experienced, my thought will be depending on that. So if I have experience of those living in the spiritual path in the right manner, where I should be where I am eligible or where I am capable of understanding the living and then live, then I will be achieving the results what I am supposed to achieve. So this is related to karmas also. That is why, if we have not done that karma in the previous life, at least in this life you should do this karma, so that this understanding or the learning of how to live or how to lead your living will be understood through these Vedantic principles. Once you become that brahmachari, if not later part of your life or in the next janma, you will be guided and directed through that, which makes your liberation from the cycle of birth and death easier. Is why the Vedantic study is required. That is why they said that Upanishads and the great gurus have advised the qualities of the listener. You want to listen, you want to casually see. If somebody has got casually seen, sometimes with a fast seeing, he is able to perceive the whole thing. At least to greater extent, he is able to perceive it. But some people, just by seeing and then they just forget. I don't remember what I have seen, because he has not even put even 1% of effort of seeing, actually, through seeing. It's only seeing. It's not a vision. It is not a darshanam that he has taken place. He is not focused on that. The things that are there in this world is not just for casually seeing. Each and everything is meant for focusing on learning it. See? That's why they are all there. The material or the matter, that what is there external to you, is meant for experiencing or learning the experience of the Bhuta Ganas Bhuta's experience. That's why Bhuta Gana has been created by Lord Shiva. The Bhuta Ganas, they are the Ganas, means they are the army, and commander of the army is Ganesha, who is a Vignaharta, who removes all the Vignas in order to experience the Bhutas, is called Vignaharta. So this Bhuta experiencing is a study, experience of which Bhuta has to be focused on. There are many of them. Having a Sharira, having a Mana, this Bhuta experiencing or materialistic experiencing automatically takes place, has to take place. Even I am taking a book and reading is an external experience. It is a material matter, it's a material experience, you see. But analyzing and keeping it, perceiving it and having it in the jnanam is the Sukshma Bhava of experiencing it. That Sukshma Bhava is always recorded in the Sukshmata of the Sharira. For the Sharira also, there are 3 Shariras which I will explain little later. Sthula, Sukshma and Karana. Sthula, Sukshma and Karana. That's called the... This we will talk about it later. I don't want to mix with it before. So these Sthula, Sukshma experiences are assimilated and collected in the Sukshma Bhava. So Sukshma experience is absolutely necessary. Through the Sthula, we have to convert it into Sukshma. Okay. Is why the Vedantic studies are not required. It is not that meant only for Brahma Sakshatkara or Brahman or renunciation of everything in this world and taking sannyasa and going away. It's not that. As I told you last class, sannyasa is not an act that which has to be taken only for the purpose of at the end of the life. It is not that. Even though the sannyasa ashrama has been explained according to that, Balya, Kaumara, Vardhakya and Vanaprastha and Sannyasa has been explained because after having all this experience, then you have sannyasa is what he is telling. That's why in order it has been told, sannyasa directly cannot be taken. Why? Because that's not possible. That means you are not prepared yourself to have the qualities of the sannyasi or sannyasam. So in order to have the sannyasa, sannyasa is the before moksha sannyasa for everybody. Even for a normal human being, even for a man who is absolutely materialistic, he also undergo this process, but what happens? The major part of his life will be only in the Balya, Kaumara and Vardhakya experiencing. The Vanaprastha and the Sannyasa will be for short while. Before dying, 1 hour before dying, he will start feeling the Vanaprastha. Nothing is, what have I done in my life? This feeling will happen to any materialist or any sannyasi, for anyone. So this is the Vanaprastha, the renunciation. The state of renunciation happens before dying. No doubt. And then after the renunciation, nothing. See, now what should I do? Neither I can go back. Where am I supposed to go? Then he goes to sannyasa. So that half an hour or 15 minutes or 5 minutes or 2 minutes, I don't know how many minutes. It depends upon each and every individual. He undergoes the process of what I am saying. The principle in Vedanta, what he has told, is that Balya, Kaumara, Yauvana, Vardhakya and Vanaprastha and Sannyasa, this invariably happens to anyone and everyone. Even for an animal, it happens. For any Jivatma, this happens. The only problem is that the one who understands his Balya, Kaumara, Yauvana and Vardhakya will be shorter. Shorter in the sense, not that he will not live that long, no. While living in that area, his mental perception he will reach the Vanaprastha much earlier than the materialist reaches, because Vanaprastha is what? It's a mental status. Nothing is that is a physical status. Every status is mental, is it not? A young boy can feel as a Vriddha. A Vriddha can feel as a young boy. No, we say no. Uska umar ho gaya, lekin he feels himself as very active like a young man. We also say that. No. His mental status, not the physical status. What are these? Balya, Vardhakya, Yauvana, Balya, Yauvana and Kaumara and Yauvana. Balya, Kaumara, Yauvana and Vardhakya, they are all mental statuses. A man who is very old, he may think he is young. Then he is able to do many things. May not be everything, okay. He is able to do many things when he thinks that he is young. That's all. But when as a person, we also say, young fellows, they are not doing anything. Yeah, Buddha jaisa baithe rehte ho. Buddha jaisa, not the aged man. The status of the aged man has come into you. That's what. Not the man who is old. No. This is what we are saying. So you understand now what it is? Is it a physical phenomena or a mental phenomena? It's a mental phenomena. It's a spiritual phenomena. You understand? That how you understand, how you think, you are like that. So if you think you are like that, you will be able to do that. Same way, in Vedantically, once we are now how to think. How can I think when I am old? How can I think young? Or when I am thinking, Vardhakya is again has got different meanings. Now what I have explained is only Sharira Vardhakya or the Vayo Vriddha. Vayo Vriddha is one of the Vardhakyam. There are 5 Vardhakyas are there. Jnana Vardhakyam. Young boy can be a Vriddha. We say no. Buddhi Rakshasa. There is a prayoga in Vedanta. He is a Buddhi Rakshasa. Rakshasa is that one who is reach the top of the atrocities. No, that there is nothing more than that. Buddhi Rakshasa. Rakshasa has been used as a simile there. Upama. Buddhi Rakshasa. Like a Rakshasa, that means so huge is his buddhi, that means how big is his buddhi, so great is his buddhi, Buddhi Rakshasa. Buddhi Bodha Vruddha is there. The one who is young, he is Bodha Vruddha, he is Vruddha already. You know that Vardhakya Vruddha means that which is the later stage of that particular whatever activity is Vruddha. When Sharira Vardhakyam is due to age related. Sharira Vardhakyam is also Vardhakyam. Buddhi Vardhakyam, Jnana Vardhakyam. Like that, few Vardhakyam. Anything you can relate with Vardhakyam. That anything is achieved before that its time. And to the ultimate of that is Vruddha. Is Vruddha. The one who has got a Vruddhi is Vruddha. Vruddhi of whatever it is. If the education is, some young children are there who are highly intelligent. We have seen some 9-year, 10-year-old doctor's son, 11-year-old son, some age, whatever it is, below the teenage. He did huge surgeries along with his father. Have you seen the newspaper or television? There was a news, there was an item. For so many days it was there. It has been proved, and they said that he should be given the degree of the doctorate, and the university refused. How can I give? No. But he could perform surgery for which other doctors could not, or could do it in number of time, but he just did it like that, very easily. But see, Vardhakya in his knowledge of the medicine, Vardhakya in his medicine of this one. So the Vruddha, the one who have become highly knowledgeable in the Vedanta, he will be known as the Rishi, Maharishi, Tapasvi, Jnani. He is known as a Jnani. The one who has got the Vardhakya, that even though his physical age may be 20, but he is a Vruddha, Jnana Vruddha. Jnana Vruddhi is there in him. So Vardhakya is different ways. I just deviated from our original subjects. Vardhakyam. So that means it's a mental status or status connected with the jnanam, connected with the knowledge, connected with the mind, connected with the inner self of you. So you should be considering that. So this identification of understanding, that means a brahmachari, by the time he finishes his qualifying himself as a brahmachari at the age of 16 to 20 according to according to Vedas they have mentioned, in 16 to 20 he finishes his education. That means the brahmacharyatva is finished. Then he takes up the garhasthya, grihastha jivan, garhasthya. After the brahmacharyatva, garhasthya. So a man who is a brahmachari only is eligible to take care of the garhasthya and then the experience of the world. Why? Because by the time the brahmacharyatva is finished, he has learned how to execute his karmas in whatever situation it may be, how to execute it. He has already learned it. Like a fireman, before going to control the fire of any kind, it may be electrical short circuit used in a high-rise building, or it may be a forest fire, or it may be a fire of any kind of activity. He is prepared to jump inside that, handle that very well, not bothered about it, not worried about it, because he has already trained himself. He is a brahmachari, according to the Vedantic studies, he is a brahmachari who has already learned how to handle the fire of living. Let me call it here, the fire of living. Otherwise, the one who is not experienced as a brahmachari, he gets burnt in the life number of times, isn't it? Each and every kashta, dukha is a burn. My God, I touched here, it burned. Touched here, it burned. I did this, it burned. I did this, burned. Keeps on burning. So you can understand by the time you reach the Vardhakya, what will be the condition of your Mana after burning so many times. Everywhere there will be burnt marks only. The original Swarupa will not be there. Yes. To learn that living, how to live, Vedanta is required, is what the Upanishad is telling us, or the Vedanta is telling us. This understanding is absolutely necessary from the young. That is why from very young the Vedic schools used to teach. Even the Rajas and others, those days, great men, they always wanted children to learn. They will be sent to the Gurukula much early, by the time age of 5 and 4 and 5 and 6. They used to be sent there to have their education, the complete jnanam of the way of living and life. People who are supposed to learn the other Vedangas, like as I told you, the archery and the Ayurveda, Dhanurveda, Ayurveda and other Vedas are there. Are so many Vedangas are there. All these are learned along with the, depending upon the life that you are going to lead, they will be taught. That's why they used to tell only Kshatriyas used to be taught about the Dhanurveda. They added one word, actually it is not there in the Vedas. Kshatriyas should learn Dhanurveda is there. Others should not learn is not there. But what happens afterwards, all the modifications, this mind which is not experienced will always create. They created, others should not learn this. Why Dhanurveda? Forget about olden days. Even in the modern days, somebody said, oh, so-and-so is not supposed, so-and-so class of children are not supposed to go to school at all. They should not, we know that now. Of course, now it's changing. They are not supposed to study. They have to do only the manual labor. They should not study. These classifications, these are all ignorance, that why this has come and how this has come. A man who has not learned the Vedanta from the right time and have become a brahmachari before started his living, if he has learned it, such people would not say that. Any education, any practice, any knowledge, anything on anybody without caste, creed or religion, whatever we are created, these things are all created without any sex, male or female or anything. Today it is happening, of course. Everybody is flying a jet, everybody is in the army, the women are in the army, men are in the army. Everybody is taking a gun and shooting, and everybody is doing everything. Operating a tractor, operating a truck and bus, everybody is driving. That is the thing. It is not the depending upon the individual. If the individual is capable, he should do that. That's all. There is no classification there. No. So these classifications have been created later. So let us not connect with that. I am talking the Vedanta before that. The original Vedantic principles is what I am talking. These are created by the human beings, which has not been documented even anywhere. Even in the Smritis it is not there. There are so many Smritis. Out of that, Manusmriti has been taken care for the purpose of putting it into practice. Manusmriti is the one which has been given prime importance, even though there are so many other Smritis are there. 4 or 5 Smritis are there. Fine. That's a different part. So what I am trying to tell you, the identification or understanding of Vedanta or study is very necessary, is why he has told Vedanta and Upanishads strictly says not to reveal the contents of the Upanishad for those who are not eligible to listen or understand. He strictly, we have read in our Upanishads, Mandukya Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad, Ishavasya Upanishad, everywhere it has been mentioned that eligibility of listening to Upanishad, because eligibility is necessary. First of all, I had been talking about the purpose of learning of Vedanta is meant for leading our life and living in the right manner. But he is already qualifying, pre-qualifying who is eligible for listening to that, is what he is talking about. What I had been talking all this while, the necessity of learning is necessary. So the question of that, who should not be revealing, who should not be, I am going into the other way around, who should not be listening to Upanishad, should not be there. That question should not be there. Why? Because everybody should listen, everybody should understand, and everybody should take care of it. Then only he will be in a position to take care of the living in the right balance. As I told you, if you do not want to get burnt every time that you experience, you are doing everything on a trial and error method. If I do this, I think it will happen. If I do this, let me try. For everything what we are doing is that we are only trying. If it happens, we say, okay, it has happened. If it doesn't happen, we are burnt. Number of burns, number of sufferings, number of kashta, number of dukkha, number of failures. Everything happens because we have not trained ourselves in order to lead our life in the proper way of living. Is the reason why we have to face this kashta, dukkha and ignorances. So this ignorance has to be removed and the knowledge has to be attained through this Vedantic studies. That is called the Vedantic study. In Vedas, everything is incorporated. For every class of man, every class of people, every class in the sense I am not talking on the today's bifurcation of class of human being, I am not talking about that. Depending upon the capability of each and every human is a class what I am trying. Somebody understands certain things better. Somebody understands archery better. He should go into the Dhanurveda. He should study Dhanurveda and excel in that, and through that he should attain the liberation. One understands Ayurveda much better, healing. He is interested more into that. So the main subject of learning should be that for him. Even though the main subject is Dhanurveda, Ayurveda or any other Vedas, any other trade according to him, but in general he has to understand that with the Veda knowledge, the basic knowledge from which original parental knowledge it has come, that has to be initially understood. Then he should go for specialization. When a medical doctor goes, he should study, learn the normal medical, the Bachelor of Medical degree, that MBBS has to be done. Then he goes for specialization. There are so many things involved here in specialization, which this may not be repeated, but in order to understand the specialization, he understands this basic knowledge, then only he can do it. Even in engineering, you will have that. The first year student has to study all the engineering principles, from whichever engineering, electrical, mechanical, electronics, electrics, everything will be generally incorporated in the first year. Second year onwards, specialization is there, everywhere. Then you can choose, then you can have the aptitude understood. In everything what happens, the initial status of education is necessary. So this understanding of living the life is, you understood now. I would like to go into detail of understanding, because this is a very important chapter. If we do not know this, then we will not give importance to the studies what you are doing. So depending upon your choice, if somebody doesn't have a choice, he should not go for it. Okay, you find your experience through your other way of living. Fine. Somebody wants to learn hard way of living, like stealing, murdering, killing. At one point of time, through that experience also, one attains an experience and he says that now I should promote myself to something else. This is not what I should do. Because he initially, because of ignorance, he has chosen that profession as his. But he found that it is not the one. Some people have to learn it in a hard way. We call it a hard way. In the sense, with not learning, but is it necessary? Should we waste our life like that? Doing all sorts of wrong thing and learning, oh, all I have done is wrong. Then let's start doing right. Instead of that, Veda says, understand what is wrong, what is right, and what is necessary for living and what is necessary for your life. What is life and how to lead your life. Why life has been given, what is the purpose of living and life has been explained, everything in detail. So you understand that, then you carry forward. That is what he is doing. Is it not that what is necessary? So that you can do it right away from that in the right manner is why Vedanta has been done. So he put a restriction here so that people become conscious that Upanishad strictly says not to reveal the contents of the Upanishads to those who are not interested on that, those who are not keen on that, or here he has specifically mentioned who is not eligible for that. That means it is not that everybody cannot listen. You have to attain that eligibility. He has mentioned there. See, look, don't think that you don't close the chapter. Who are not eligible to do that is not written. So I can enter for my entrance exam for eligibility test. This option is there. That eligibility has to be there. So okay, I am not understanding the other things. So let me at least start with eligibility of it, and I will train myself. Then I will go for it. He has given an option for that. He did not close the chapter for anybody. So anybody who is wanting to have the eligibility can go to study this Upanishadic studies. What are the eligibilities now is what we will have to know. So that's why I said that. So one has to have, first of all, the thought has to come. The thought at one point of time, somewhere, has to come. Why are we born? Why are we living? Why one has to do the karmas? That means living, doing karmas and dying. Why this happens? This thought has to come, this inquiry has to come in the mind first of all. Before the eligibility, this inquiry has to come. What is the purpose of all this? Why all these things should happen? Why am I here? Why am I born? Everything is a pain. Everything is the pleasure is only 1%. Everything else is a pain. Why is it happening? What is the purpose? Then is it necessary that we should be born? If it is not my choice, somebody says it is my choice that I have been born. Why did I choose to be born? Now somebody says it's a fact also that we have chosen our own birth. We chose our birth, not that somebody else. Not that Srishti Karta has given you a Srishti. You had a wish, that wish has been fulfilled by helping you to be born. This is the job of the energy. You want, it's like an accelerator of the car. If you press the accelerator, it will speed. No? If you don't want that speed, you reduce the accelerator. Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Jnana Shakti. If you want to be born, I will help you to be born. And he is asking you, how do you want, for what purpose do you want to be born? For this purpose. Fine, granted. How do you want to be born? This way, like spastic, or lame, or deaf, or dumb, or with all this, everything perfect. How do you want to be born? This also according to your choice. He says, I will just help you. What do you want? Tell me, I'll give you. I will not give you something, impose something on you that what you don't want. I give you that. This is called, this way Bhagavan is known as witness. To your choice, you see, so that You cannot blame God tomorrow that because I am suffering to what we are doing now. Actually, it's because of ignorance. You chose and you said, hey, Ishwar, give me like this, grant me this way birth, I will be born and I want to do this. In the sense, even though that is superlatively or superficially told, we, according to our karmas, in order to fulfill our karma, we had a Ichha Shakti before the death. Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Jnana Shakti is not only in living, while dying we have an Ichha Shakti. That will get formed into Kriya Shakti and Jnana Shakti. Jnana Shakti and Kriya Shakti. That's called the next birth, to execute that. So in order to accelerate that, for the purpose of accelerating our Srishti, bringing it to the world in order to experience the Bhauta Bhutas, the Ishvara helps. So initially the thought, why these are happening? So why are we bored? Why this thought should bother you? Is the first eligibility. That's what I'm trying. Eligibility, because we want to read. Why? Because then you will get an answer. I have to I am born, I am executing karmas, I am dying. That means this act of all these activities I am doing in order to reach somewhere. That means I have got a purpose. It's not that I am an idiot, just came in and then died and gone. No. I have come with a purpose and got that. Where's the purpose? Somewhere I am reaching. So next question after dying, where am I reaching? Where will I reach? Where to reach? Why should I do all these things in order to reach? These are all I am doing. First is that, why should I have all this? Second is that I have this, but where to reach? How to reach and where to reach? Where to reach? Then how to reach comes later. Where to reach? Then you will get an answer. Where to reach? Reach means what? Reach in the sense. So that I should not have these things again is where I want to reach. I want to reach a place where I should not be again born and do karmas and dying, which I am doing and suffering and burning myself. So I want to reach a place where I am safe. The better way of understanding. Where to reach? Where I will be safe. Where will you be safe? You will be safe only in a place where you do not have it. Where will you be safe? Where you will not have a desire. There you are absolutely safe. Where you will not have any desire is the most safest place that you can just go in. That means Ichha Shakti will not be there. Only Jnana, when Ichha Shakti is not there, Kriya Shakti is not there. Only Jnana Shakti will be there. So what is my purpose? Where am I supposed to go? I am supposed to go to that place where this will not, where I am safe. Safe in the sense where I will not be again put into this Agni Pariksha in my life, is where I am supposed to reach. This thought has to come in you. Eligibility. Step by step. Just like teaching a class 1 student. So because these nobody teaches, no, people, knowledgeable and great songs and all, they go into broader way of principles. No? But if we do not have this in the initial, that means foundation, it is not there. It is difficult. So you should know where you are supposed to reach. That means where you will reach where you will reach at a safer place where you don't have to repeat all this. Then, okay, fine, I understand. Then, what happens if I don't do these karmas, what I am supposed to do? And what happens? One is that, what happens if where I am supposed to reach? And I have to do all these things is another. Next is that, if I don't do, then what happens? That also I should know. If I have to do so many things, suppose I don't do, even then if I am getting scot-free, then why should I all this? We always look for that reason. When will I? We have always looked for shortcuts in our life. how can we do it without doing it? Is what we have always thought, is it not? In everything we thought that. How can we do it without doing it? Or how can we achieve it without doing it? Without going through that. It's shortcut. So I mean that shortcut also will be there naturally. So it has to be there in you. If I don't do it, what is going to happen should also be asked for. Then you will know. Yes. Then you will know what I am supposed to do. If you don't do it, why should I do karmas and kartavyas? We have already explained in detail what is called a karma from the previous karmas. 40% of the previous karmas and 60% of the previous karma halas, through which we have acquired certain shape and form and the particular place and situations in order to execute our karma, utilizing that situation and that shape and form and that jnanam, we execute our karma, kartavyas and karmas in the right way, in dharmic way, so that I will reach the safe place where I will not have ichha shakti, where I will not have any attractions and attachments and desires. In order to understand this, the brahmachari has to understand the complete Vedantic study. Is it not? How to execute karma and what is karma. First we know what is karma. What is karma phala? Why we are born, that we know. Because of Suramachari. Why we are born, why we are living, why we are doing karma and why we are dying. So first question they said, why we are born. That is in order to execute our karmas, unfulfilled desires to be fulfilled in this janma. That means unfulfilled karmas to be executed. Yes. That we know why we are born. Then living. Why are we living? In order to execute the karmas, we have to live. And doing a karma cannot be straight away cannot do karmas. So we have to have a bifurcation of karma, is that we have to execute it through kartavya. Then only the karma can be executed. There has to be a via media. Kartavya has to be executed, and that means duties have to be attended, then the karmas have to be done. First is the duties. So the duty starts. In the duty, Shodasha Samskara comes. Starting from the Balya, all the Shodasha Samskara, through that Samskara, the Kartavyas have to be understood and Kartavyas have to be done. How we should be born, what should we do. We will talk about the Shodasha Samskara and the Kartavyas. Now, where are we stopping? We are stopping why we are born and why we are living. Execute Kartavyas and Karmas. Now we will go further next class. Okay? Good. Shanti.